Good morning, everyone. This is Robert Todd, the Director of Policy and Partnership Development here at the University System of Georgia. And I'm here with the Complete College Georgia core team. And I'd like to let them introduce themselves. We'll be the ones guiding you through the webinar today on the update of the campus plans for this year for Complete College Georgia. Before I do advance, though, I would just like anyone who is having trouble hearing me or seeing the slides now to hit the little hand icon if you can see it underneath the list of names, or just send us a quick chat to let us know that you're having any difficulty. And if there's no problems, we'll move ahead. Okay, just feel free to speak up if you do have any difficulties with the chat box. But as it is, we'll go on and let's introduce the team. So again, Robert Todd and
Jonathan Watts Hall, Assistant Director for Policy and Partnership Development.
Leslie Ann Fenton, Project Coordinator.
And Brady Tate, Policy Analyst.
So we'll guide you through today to help make the process of campus plan updates as simple as possible for this year. And this will be a slide coming up soon, but before I even begin, let me just say that we've worked hard to make this very congruent with last year's plan, which ought to make things simpler and streamline them for you. We definitely hope that works smoothly. So let's get started. So the staff you see in front of you, this is the staff involved in your campus update plans here at the USG. You know, we want to make sure that these are useful plans. They provide critical information to completion for students in Georgia. And we also, as I said, want to make this as easy as possible because we know there's a lot of work involved. I think need to go over quickly for everybody, especially for those who are new, why we're here. Well, today we're here because the campus plan updates that are provided every year by the campuses for Complete College Georgia. The Complete College Georgia initiative became a reality between 2011 and 12 and is an initiative to see more students graduate with high-quality degrees and certificates throughout the state of Georgia. The reason we're here today is to find out how we can help you provide updates to the plans created in 2012, updates that give us the data needed now in 2015 and show what progress you're making on your campuses and to help you understand where the goals have evolved and where they are very similar to the 2012 plans. And we're going to take you step by step through the way that you'll need to complete the plans this year. And we also, of course, want to hear your feedback when we finish speaking. In this year's report, there's actually information in this year's report that's tied more closely than ever to the CCG goals. And we've gotten responses over the years that have led us to ask for more specific types of information and information limited to the goals that you're actually working on as well. We'll go into that in some more detail, but those are some of the key points that you will need to know. What's the timeline? We're going to go over the timeline later today, or I should say this morning, so you don't need to worry about that. We'll have all of the dates for you, and those will be provided and available to you after the webinar. And the resources available, well, we have resources available on the Complete College Georgia website. We'll be sending you email resources as well. And, you know, that first slide we showed briefly, this presentation is being recorded. You are certainly welcome to view it again. And you'll see the complete list of staff on that first slide. So all of us here at the USG also hope to be the resources to help you complete these plans. And now I'm going to turn things over to Jonathan Watts Hull to begin the more detail on how these plans are going to come about.
Thank you, Robert. So let's keep in mind that the campus plans are updates. The status reports are updates on the campus plans that were first done in 2012. These reports provide a continuum of documentation of work being done on campuses. They're really seen to update the progress, to have you take a look at the indicators on your campus of what is priority for you and where you're going to move forward. They also provide an opportunity for you to look at the work you're doing on campus and seeing where you need to shift into new areas, and also to measure your progress to see if you have achieved your goals and if you need to sort of reassess what those goals might be. The campus plans are intended originally as a report to the Governor and the General Assembly. They are our public document of the work that we do for the state's goals of college completion. They have a very large audience, believe it or not, and they are anticipated certainly at the legislature and at the policymaking level. There is an internal audience. We use these documents, again, to identify best practices. We look at them across our institutions to see who's doing exemplary work and to help to highlight that work to other campuses that want to advance that work. Moreover, the campus plans are great tools. We have heard from your perspective and that they help to focus the work that you are doing. I will note that this year's plans maintain what we did last year. We have streamlined them. Indeed, we have streamlined them even more. They're intended to be focused on your top priority work. They're intended to provide a in-depth picture of the detail on the work that you see as the most valuable, most important, most critical to your success. And they're focused. They are to align your goals and your strategies with measurements of how they will be, of what success looks like, and they're intended to provide some reporting out of the work you do. Most importantly, and I've heard some feedback from this already, is that they are very similar this year to last year. There are some slight changes that you'll note as we go through, slight changes to the narrative. We did add one categorical goal. I wouldn't say added, we subdivided a goal into two and again, that was feedback that came from campuses that said that they felt like that goal was being lost, and we'll get to that in a bit. We are making a more specific request for numerical benchmarks. About half of our campuses last year gave us very specific numerical benchmarks and half did not, and we were very pleased with the campuses' reports that seemed to have very identified targeted goals, and so we're hoping to advance that further. But for the most part, the reports that were sent out yesterday and that were submitted last year are a very good starting point. They reflect the work that we are continuing this forward, and I'm hoping that that is good news for everyone out there. So the way this works, the way we view this is we want you to start with goals. We want you to have some top-level goals for your campus, for your institutions, that lead to some strategies that are aligned with those goals, to achieve those goals, and that have markers along the way that allow you to know, am I on track, and what would it look like when I'm successful? That is essentially the way the plan was developed last year, and it maintains this year. The report has a reference tool. We start out with asking you to review the goals, strategies, and metrics so that we know that you're looking at sort of top-level goals. It has a survey online, and I'm going to get to this in a bit. This is an improved survey. I've actually had one beta tester go through it and find some things with it that is now, I think, all tight. And this is a really useful tool, mostly for us, but in some sense it helps to frame your work, and we'll get to that in a second about what the value of that is. We have a narrative document, which is the document you got sent yesterday, and that is sort of your top priority report. And then if you care to do so, and about half of our campuses have done so, you can submit your supporting document, your supporting data. And that data is something that is good to have. It is nice to be able to support your work with that, but that, I think, tends to be more useful at the institutional level than because it is not consistent across all. The process, again, looks very similar. We have the lotto balls back this year. The initial step for everyone would be to take a look at the metrics guide. That is online. You'll see the link in just a bit. The metrics guide provides you with a goal, the strategies that are aligned to that goal, and some of the suggested metrics. You can drive off track if you want. You can submit your own goals, your own metrics. We're not concerned about keeping things in the bounds, but for the most part, we think these goals, which again, these goals and strategies which have been essentially generated through campus work, reflect the broadest spectrum of what campuses are doing. The next step is to go through and actually complete that survey online. I won't tell you how long it will take because it really is dependent on the campus, but this is, if you did it last year, it is essentially the same with a few improvements, the most significant of which is that you will now be able to log out and log back in. You'll be able to return to those and edit your answers, and you'll actually be able to preview all of your answers before you submit it. So if you want to get to that page, print out your answers and assess it, you can do that and then log back in later, make any changes you need to make, and submit the final report. Once the survey comes back, take a look at those, take a look at the metrics that are aligned to those surveys, and begin to write your narrative. And your narrative, write the narrative gets, you know, a single step here, but it is a fairly significant team process, and we understand that. And again, we aren't changing the narrative structure too much this year, and that we hope is a help to y'all. The narrative will be submitted for review to CCG. That will receive peer feedback, and we really found that that was a useful exercise for both peer reviewers, and you will be asked during this, you'll be invited to submit names for peer review, either yourself or somebody you know on your campus. We like to have 3 or 4 campus people, as well as a system person, take a look at these plans, help to make sure these are sort of reflecting your best work, and hand it back with suggestions. And those peer review process provides a review of both the work you're doing and how you represent the work. And so it's a two-stage review process. You'll get review feedback. We ask you to revise those plans as needed or as necessary, and then you'll submit that final report. And Leslie Ann will get on the timeline on this in a bit. The final report gets submitted just under 6 months away. So we have a long period of time that we're working on this. It does feel like a process in place. And then, of course, once you've done, we can plan for next year and have a little bit of a celebration. So the report components, returning back to this, the metrics guide, which we went over, it is available on our website at the Plans 2015. It's linked close to the top. It helps to put your work into context. It helps you use your metrics, or your goals, identify your campus goals, and your campus goals tend to be linked to what your campus looks like and where you want to be. It allows you some metrics that you can use, some measures that you can use that would be useful in identifying both your needs, your success, and your progress along the way. And as I noted earlier, you can drive off track if you like. You can set your own goals, you can set your own strategies, and we just ask if you're doing that to let us know what measurements you're using in order to measure success. The strategy survey, we talked about this a bit. I want to emphasize the value of this. It is an online tool for data collection. It is a comprehensive look at the activities on your campus. And this is really useful because the narrative only focuses on a select set of priorities. So when it comes down to having an understanding of the scope of work being done in institutions, the strategy survey is the best tool we have at the USG to communicate the high-level work that is being done on our campuses to our outside stakeholders, specifically to the legislature, to the governor, and to the press and the public. We have used the results of this strategy survey multiple times throughout this year to inform our, again, this policy audience about what is going on campus, and it has been very useful in us in supporting the sort of ongoing work at the campus level. It has the ability, again, this is an improvement from last year. You can preview it before you complete it. You can pause it, exit, and return. You can do it twice if you need to. Just let us know which one you want to take. You can customize it to the extent you can add in your own survey, your own goals and strategies. And it should provide you with a pretty comprehensive list as a starting point. That is the link. I'm going to leave that up there for a second, but it's completega.org/survey. That should take you straight to it. It says case sensitive. Depends upon your browser, but it is case sensitive. It'll get you there. It's also linked off of the Complete GA Plans website. You know, it can take a while to do it. It may take multiple folks to do it. We don't ask for specific numbers with one exception. And that would be the only exception we do is on remediation. So you can look to pull that through. That survey, once you've worked on that survey, helps you get ready for the narrative section. And this is the part of the report that we submit to the governor. It is probably the bulk of the labor of this on all fronts. It is also, again, not particularly different from last year. The one significant change is that it has 3 sections this year. Last year had 4. We have essentially collapsed the middle 2 sections together. And you'll see that in a bit. It is an opportunity to report on your top-level, top-priority, high-impact work. We are asking folks to focus on the top 5, no more than 5, completion priorities. And this is a way for you to really sort of highlight what you do without it being lost in this sort of broad sweep of all the activities you do. It's a great opportunity to provide us with a highlight on the work you're doing and the activities you've got. Let me go back here. The parts there, it's got 3 sections, the institutional profile, the institutional completion goals, strategies and activities, and then general observations. The institutional profile is fairly straightforward. It takes your demographics and your mission and then says what are your completion goals, keeping those 2 things in mind. You have a mission, you have a student body that looks a certain way. What are the goals that will help you get to what is your completion goal look like? Section 2, the institutional completion goals, the strategies and activities. Essentially, take your profile, identify your priorities. What strategies have you adopted to meet your goals, and what are the activities within that that you are doing? So these are sort of all linked together. It pushes it in all to one unit. There is a template within the bundle you've received that gives you very specific sort of places to put them. You can, to the extent you wish, you can go outside of that template if you'd like, but it is possibly easier, I think, to keep it within that template. Again, we're looking for very specific baseline data, specific measures of progress and success, and we'd like to see that because that is really an important part of goal setting. We understand very clearly that some of these don't have these clear numeric goals. These don't have these clear population goals and numbers that you can measure clearly, but to the extent that it's possible, we'd really like to see that in this year's plans. And finally, your observations. I found this section most interesting and most engaging. The observations really is your opportunity to reflect on what you would think has worked, what has not worked, how you would improve it, and where you need support, what changes you've made to your plan and your activities, and why they've been made. This is a really important part of the plan for our use in terms of planning where we would do future work, future symposia, future interventions, future activities, and also helps to inform other campuses who might be considering certain activities of the pitfalls that they may face. Finally, with that plan, we ask you to submit it in a Microsoft Word file. As some of you have noted, we sent out last year's plans yesterday. And if you haven't taken a look at it, you'll note that your plans, no matter what format you send them in, are going to be reformatted in a consistent manner. And that's why we asked for a Microsoft Word file. The campus plan that you received from us yesterday is a great starting point if you want. You don't have to use it that way. You can use it in a different format. But please don't spend a lot of energy and effort in it because we will strip out all your formatting and make it look consistent. That was actually feedback we got back from the governor's office in terms of it looking consistent was a very helpful thing for them. Finally, the plans can be submitted online. You can submit them through that web link at the base. That is also on the website, plans 2015/submit. You can also submit them through the CCG web email, the ccg@usg.edu. That is fine if you prefer to do that. And I'm going to hand it off to, am I handing it off to you now?
Yep.
I'm going to hand it off to Leslie Ann. Did I go over one slide?
No, you're good.
Leslie Ann, who's going to go through sort of what happens after the plans come into place.
Okay, so like Johnson mentioned earlier, we've done a peer review for the past 2 years. We're going to do it again this year. Like you said, we found it a very, very useful exercise, not only for the peer reviewers, but for the campuses to receive that feedback, not just from the system level, but from their peers. So if you're interested in participating, please fill out that survey under the second bullet, at completega.org/plans2015/peer-review. And even if the person, if you know of somebody on your campus that would be interested and they're not attending the webinar today, just please let them know about that. And please fill that out by July 6th. That's the Monday after July 4th weekend. So, and then after that, we're going to have each team read and discuss about 4 to 6 status reports each, and that will take place over the entire month of August, so you have plenty of time. And I think around September is when we're going to send that feedback to the institutions. And just keep in mind that the institutions do update their status reports based on this feedback, so it's very, very important work. All right, so now we're going to go over the timeline here. Okay, so on May 28th, that's when you received your guidelines. And then we have our webinar today and calling for our peer reviewer starting today. July 6th, please have your peer review applications in. And July 15th is when we'll complete our peer review training, and that will be online, so no need to plan for coming here to Atlanta for that. August 3rd is when all of the draft status report narratives are due and your final strategy survey is due. September 11th is when the peer review process will be complete. And October 5th is when the feedback will be sent to campuses. And November 6th is when your final status reports are due. And December 1st is when those reports will be submitted to the governor's office. And again this year, each campus is assigned a single point of contact here at the USG. Those are going to be listed at the end of your guidelines document that you received yesterday. And then you can also submit general questions if you have them to ccg@usg.edu. And also, one more thing about the completion contacts, those are listed on the website as well. Okay, and then we have several resources for you on our completega.org website. You can find the goals and strategy overview, the strategy guide, and you can complete your survey and submit your plans on there. So, do we want to show them where to go?
Sure. Well, let's take a look. We'll just briefly, we'll share this too.
Show you guys how to get to those specific pages on the completega.org website. So, if you enter in completega.org/plans2015, it'll take you directly there. But if you just go to the main website and under the campuses drop-down menu,
it will be there after this. It's not live yet. It will be there after. You'll get to here. It'll be under this tab here. It'll be down here, 2015 campus plans.
Right. Okay.
So the guidelines that you got would be right here, and they look, if you haven't seen them, they look like this. I hope you all have seen it. The peer review link right here, right over here, will get you to a survey to load in, and all you do is just one-step process to give us a name. Scrolling down a bit, you can link right here to the Campus Strategy Survey. You can link right here to the Campus Strategy Survey. So there's two spots, and I hope this is showing up on your screens. Get to it. There we go. And then a little further down on this page, there is an overview of the goals. Each one of these comes with just simply goals and strategies. But there's also a link to a document that gives you the more complete goals, strategies, and metrics. And so if you see here, there'll be metrics. That is actually available 2 places on the website. We love to do things multiple times. So in addition to being online, you can also get to that page here, same document, different link from this page. In addition, if you scroll down, you've got the instructions, the sample matrix, the link to submit it online, the link for an email, my email in case you have questions, my phone number in case you want to call with angry complaints, and here are your campus completion contact list. So if you'll see your campus here and your contact over here.
Okay.
So I'm going to go back.
And so we just have this. It's a one-stop shop, completega.org/plans2015. And just remember that that is case sensitive, that you need to capitalize plans, like Johnson said, depending on your browser. So.
Hopefully.
All right.
Hopefully we'll get back to that. I want to go here. There we go.
Okay. All right. Well, and that's, I think, everything. So now, if you have any questions, just submit them over there in the chat box, and we'll get to each one as they come in.
And again, I will highlight that the plans are hopefully very familiar this year. As you go through it this year, if there are improvements to be made, make sure you let us know. Some of the changes, some of the ways these were, the collapsing of those two sections was a result of comments and feedback. I didn't, and I failed to mention that I mentioned but failed to describe the additional goal, and that is actually that access has been split out. So the list of campus contact persons at USG are different in the handout bundle and the website. Actually, that is true. We will unfortunately be saying farewell to Brandy Tate before this process ends. And so the initial campus bundle went out with Brandy in there as a campus contact. It did not seem fair to make Brandy continue to be the campus contact after she left. And so they have been realigned. So the campus contact online and the second bundle you got, so you should have gotten a bundle with your reminder email. That one should be up to date. The online version is certainly up to date. And if you have questions following this, we will send that out along.
So someone asked if you would receive a copy of this presentation. So Leslie Ann Fenton will be sending out an email with a link to the presentation for you. You'll also be able to find a copy of this if you're searching through our CCG site online. But yes, you will have the ability to review this presentation.
And additional to that, we'll send out a link to the recording of this webinar as well. So if you have any colleagues who weren't able to attend this morning, they can get the full experience.
Do peer reviewers need to be faculty?
No, peer reviewers have often been faculty, but if there is a staff member that's appropriate, then we're definitely interested in hearing their hand raised, seeing their hand raised to volunteer.
I'll give a few more minutes for questions to come in, but I'm going to be pleased that this did not raise that many questions. And we'll assume that that means it's crystal clear, with the understanding that should it not be, we were happy to answer questions as they come in.
So the question here is, what is the time commitment for peer reviewers? And I'm actually going to look around the table here and let us get a consensus, because I want to make sure we answer this correctly.
So after you submit your application, we'll let you know within the next few days after that if you've been selected. And then from there, we're going to have an online training the week of July 7th through July 15th. And that will be similar to this, just a webinar training, so you don't have to come here to Atlanta for that. And if you weren't available for any of those dates, it will be recorded as well. But you will need to complete that training before you're able to review any of the plans. And then
that's usually about an hour or less.
Mm-hmm.
And then the question is how much time folks on average spent as reviewers, say last year, which is what I'm trying to answer now. We can give you an estimate.
Yeah, I would assume that each plan will take, again, the plans are not intended to be very long, so I would say each plan will take about 40 minutes to review with a pen, and another, I would say you'll spend about an hour on each plan, so you would expect to spend 6 hours in review total, as I would say maximum, and then the conversations you have with your peer review team were generally scheduled for 2 hours. I don't know that anybody actually took a full 2 hours to go through them, particularly since you'll tend to share your comments back into the staff ahead of time, so comments can be compiled and surveyed, and you can go through them step by step, and the compilation process is all done at the system office.
And each peer review team shouldn't have more than five plans that they're reviewing. So try to distribute them so that each team has about 4 to 5 plans.
So with the training and with the time you spend over a period of, the months, you're spending less than 10 hours for sure, probably far less than that. But it depends on how much energy you want to put into each of the plans.
And also with the peer review process, just keep in mind that that's mainly going to take place during the month of August. So if you anticipate being out of the office a lot in August, it may be better for someone else to participate as a peer reviewer.
So there's a question here about the survey. The survey is based on the full scope. So the question is if the survey is based on the top 5 you're reporting on, and it's not. Actually, what we would like to see on the survey is the full scope of work you're doing. That allows you to report on all, and if you are working in every area, to simply let us know. And there is not, this is partly why metrics are not attached to it, because this does reduce the burden in terms of what you're reporting on the survey. The survey gives us a global look at the completion work within the strategies and goals we've identified that is going on each campus. And we are really, I was very pleased with the results from that, because it really did help us get a much better picture of campus activity outside of what the reports do, because the reports are really an opportunity to focus on what is most important to you. But in so doing, we don't want to give the impression that that's all you're doing, because we know that's not true. So the survey should be seen as global, and the narrative reports are much more focused. Oh, there's a question above it. I'm sorry. Where's my mouse? Here it is.
So we have the list of individuals who were the campus points of contact from last year, and we know those have peer reviewers for last year. And so we know those have changed. We could post those or send them to you. Yeah.
So let me say this in a blanket statement. If you are new to the process, and there are several of you who are new to the process, contact your campus contact. Reach out to your CCG campus contact and to have that process facilitated, because there may be a conversation that would be good to have at the start, or you can contact me directly, and we can have a phone conversation. Now, we can find out who the peer reviewers were from last year. I have that list, and that's fine. I can actually post last year's list to the group.
Yeah, and and I misspoke myself. I was thinking of campus points of contact, but the reviewers, we really have to also be careful to protect anonymity for everyone. So simply contact, thinking this through, simply contact your point of contact here at the USG, and we will help you work through that.
And if you don't know who the CCG contact is on your campus, most likely the best place to go first is to ask your Vice President for Academic Affairs. If they don't know, then feel free to contact me. I have a list of those campus contacts.
And that's Leslie Ann Fenton.
Yes.
Yeah, and I appreciate you reminding me of that as I was responding. I was thinking of campus points of contact, but it is the peer reviewers that you asked about, so I stopped myself and fortunately had someone here at the table stopping me. So, yes, we will keep the peer reviewers confidential, but we can help you through the information you actually need to figure out what to do. So just call your USG contact person.
They'll remain anonymous. Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes, so since it was brought up, I just want to say that this is Brandy Tate, policy analyst, that I will be leaving the system office in the next few weeks, and it's been a pleasure working with all of you in various capacities through different working groups and different RAC groups and whatnot. So thank you all for being such great colleagues, and I look forward to hearing about the great work that you guys are doing on your campuses. Thank you.
I think I speak for everybody here. Brandy will be sorely missed. She's worked very hard on these plans and the process since the start, really. So we're going to miss her. Any other comments or questions? And we'll wrap up and let you get back to work. Okay. Well, we will send out information to you, so that you'll be able to see this presentation and the slides, and also, of course, all of this will go to the one-stop shop on the CCG website. I want to thank Brandy Tate and Leslie Ann Fenton and Jonathan Watts-Hull and the rest of the team that was on the first slide that weren't able to be here today. And thank you, Tabitha Press, because I think you're attending at the moment. We appreciate all of your time. We're looking forward to a smooth and effective process this year, and we greatly appreciate your time and energy making this happen. Thank you.